Hello and welcome to the Disabled Actors Project. Now, today we've got something a bit different. Those normally tuning into the podcast are normally aware that we have a host of biographies of disabled actors on this podcast, and normally the episodes are lasting less than 3 minutes with a biography. Today we have something a bit different. I'm pleased that this is a special interview podcast episode with the great Neil Grant, who we've previously done a biography on. Neil Grant, welcome today.
Thank you.
It's an honour to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So today's a special interview session. We've set the timer for about 40 minutes. And the alarm will ping at that point. But of course, if you as the audience want more, you can always message, and we can look into getting Neil back for a sequel. And today we're actually at Carterton Library. Is that how you pronounce it, Neil? Carterton Library. See, I'm a newbie to this area. And Carterton Libraries gave us this space today to do this podcast, which is amazing. What amazing resource this area has. And Neil, turns out Neil is a regular here. Is that right?
Yes, I come to Camera Club every other, it's last Friday of the month.
As in like photography?
Yeah.
So are you a keen photographer as well as actor?
Yeah, every string to my bow, you know.
So you're a man of many talents then, not just acting.
No.
So what kind of things do you like doing as well as the photography?
I like doing a bit of charity work, getting involved with people doing the charity work and stuff. I enjoy doing things like that as and when it comes up. I used to do the memory walk before I was disabled.
Right, so something charity work, something you've always done.
Charity is just for the home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's to help other people.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so you used to do that walk.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still do charity work now? Is that changed? No,
I stopped.
No.
Yeah.
And what was your favourite bit about doing the charity work?
I like working for dementia.
Yeah.
I liked helping dementia because that's a thing that is close to my heart. My mum, she died of she had dementia as well as having cancer and a few other problems in between. She died April the 17th this year. So, you know.
Oh gosh, so
I'm doing this for my mum, really.
Yes, basically. Yeah. Oh gosh, that's a really recent bereavement then. And did she live near this area or somewhere else?
She lived in Spalding in Lincolnshire, which is where basically I'm from.
So that's where you grew up, in Lincolnshire?
It is, yeah.
Right.
Not many happy memories there, but yeah, it was good.
So that's where you grew up, but not very happy memories. What happened then?
I had a bad upbringing with my father. He used to bully me a lot. And he has never changed. My aunt, she died before my mother, and I went and told my mother that she died, and my dad's thrown me out of the family just for telling her that. You know, he said you shouldn't have told her. I said, but she's got a right to know, it's a sister. You know, so that was that. You know, and he doesn't want me to go and see him anymore or anything. So he's kicked me out of the family. He's told my two sisters that they're not to speak to me. So.
So you don't have any contact with your family at all?
No.
So do you ever go back to Lincolnshire at all?
Not anymore.
No. So and your area is here at Carterton?
Yeah. I met my wife on Facebook when I was in Spalding, and it was a thing called Are You Interested? Many years ago, and we was talking to each other online. We was having face contact as well, and then because I was working at Sainsbury's at the time, and I had the accident at Sainsbury's which landed me in a wheelchair. Basically,
right.
Yeah, I basically I started at Whitney at Spalding branch, and then I got a transfer over to the Sainsbury's branch in Witney.
To be with your partner. Right, yes, you moved all that way.
Yeah.
And and your accident at Sainsbury's, what did that lead to then?
Basically, I was a team leader on the produce area, and there was what they call a mystery shopper come in. Now, you knew all the time who it was because they'd always carry a clipboard. And I saw this mystery shopper come in, and I had to go and look on the shelves, see what wasn't on the shelves, because we can have points deducted. So there was no potatoes. So I went in the back, and somebody had loaded a load of potatoes too high, and nobody else about. So I got the highest one, pulled it down, and I had lost 2 discs in my back. Went to have surgery, and they put it back to normal. And then I had to go back to the hospital again 2 years afterwards because I had another problem with my back, and it has led me with total numbness in my legs and feet. I can't really get about anywhere. I can walk about 20 feet and that's it. But you know, and I've got £6,000 out of Sainsbury's, which is not a lot when you think about that. Happened in 2012, and I've been unemployed since.
Yes, yeah. So that accident you couldn't work there. Did they tell you couldn't work there?
Well, it just ended in turmoil. Basically, they didn't want anything to do with me. They just turned around and said, well, you know, you took us to court, and it's like, no, it's not going to be very nice. So my decision, I just turned around and said, right, okay, finish. That's it.
So they didn't offer you any reasonable adjustments, or so that was, so you was going through a lot, adapting to your disability, and then you had that stress on top of that.
Exactly, yeah.
And then am I right in that you had epilepsy before?
Well, I had, when I was 3 years old, I had the start of epilepsy, and that was basically my mum put me on the chair and said, oh, look, your daddy's coming home. Dad was in the Air Force. So for the first time, you know, with contact, I was looking out the window because I've not seen Dad since I was 3. And I looked out there, and then all of a sudden I started convulsing, and that's the start of my epilepsy. But my dad never took it on that he knew anything about epilepsy. Basically, it was the 60s as well, you know, 1962 when I was born. So this was 65 when I was 3. And when I grew up to about 7 years old, I had an epileptic seizure at the start of it. And when you have a seizure, although you're convulsing, you can still hear a little bit of what's going on in your surroundings. And Dad was like, you know, he was, oh no, not again, you know. And Mum was saying, you know, look, he can't help it. And then all of a sudden I was dropped, you know, so you could hear a few words before you go down, as you do when you're coming round from a seizure. But Dad's never took it on board that, you know, and he never ever had anything to do with me then, and that was when I was younger. He's always hated, whether it was because I had something wrong with me, I don't know, and he couldn't just take it on board. So, you know,
yeah,
which is a shame, really.
Was that similar to a lot? Did you have any problems at school with your epilepsy, and people's awareness was lacking back then?
Yeah, people, once people knew that I had, once the children knew that I had epilepsy, it was very bad. I mean, kids say the horriblest things, and they were saying things like, give Neil you wash your clothes for washing, and he'll do it for you in his bath. You know, like, in other words, I'll be splashing around in the bath and washing their clothes, which was horrible. You know, and other, like, Fitty was another one I got called, and Epi, you know, things like that. But kids, I mean, you can't help what people say, but especially kids, they're not brought up with things like this, you know.
So it sounds a very turmoil childhood growing up, because you had the turmoil at home, but also at school, and the added bullying involved with the epilepsy.
Exactly.
But then, like, you are amazing. You went on to be a Sting lookalike.
I did, yeah.
So what kind of era was that? Was that in the 70s?
That was
80s?
No, I'd left school at 78.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a very good upbringing at school. I scarred a lot of my school. So it was a friend of mine called Mark Haley who said to me, did you know that there's lookalikes out there? You should go for a lookalike job. And I thought, yeah. So I says, yeah, I'll have a look into that. So I did. And I mean, he's now with the Rubettes, singing with the Rubettes, playing keyboards. And I mean, he was the first person to say, Neil, you want to, you know. But I used to get called Sting at school as well. People used to say, oh, look, there's Sting. I mean, even now, if I went home back to Spalding, there's friends over there, and they'd probably say, Sting, how you doing? So it's nice. It's nice, you know. You look around, you've got Westing. Me.
And then you went. You had a residency in Blackpool.
I did.
Sting as well.
Yeah.
What was that?
That was brilliant. That was brilliant. I was there for 7 years.
That's a long time in Blackpool.
Yeah, 7 years, and it was absolutely awesome. My sister moved up a bit later on, and she got me on stage to do Message in a Bottle, and it was like a party in the park event, and I was on just before Brother Beyond. I don't know if anybody out there remembers Brother Beyond, but they was wearing white suits, and they're a bit like Westlife are.
Yeah.
And having got 2 minutes to go on the stage, it was brilliant. It was absolutely and I used to.
And you've actually given a photo of when you were Sting. I don't know whether people can see that. That's amazing. Look, it was identical to Sting. And didn't you meet Sting?
I did. Yeah.
What happened
there? Now I'd got a job with Derek's Doubles, which is a lookalike agency, and they turned around and said, Neil, we've got a job for you. So I says, all right. He says, yeah. He said, we want you to go to the Albert Hall. He said, Sting's playing there. He said, and I want you to decoy for us. So I said, okay. Now I got in there and I had to look at the posters and stuff. And the guy at the front, the reception, he said, oh, Sting. He said, do you want to show you around? I was like, yeah, okay. And he showed me around. He went and took me to the dressing room because Sting likes a window in his dressing room.
Oh, does he?
And he has complained many, many times that he's not got a window. And he said, is that to your taste? I said, yeah, it's fine, it's great. And then was walking back, and Trudy Styler, Sting's better half, she saw me going past.
Right.
She must have thought that I was Sting.
Right.
Because as I looked round, she looked round. Now, I saw Sting later on, and he said, I can't believe it. He said, it's like 11 years difference between us. He said, it's like looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
You know, it was great. And then I got an invite to go down to his house in Wiltshire.
Oh, wow.
A massive mansion in a place called Lake. And his house was called Lake House. So I jumped in a taxi. I was told to jump in a taxi and just say Sting's house. So I got off the train, went to the taxi rank, parked out, and I says, Sting's house, please. So it took me down all these roads, down a big private lane, and I got there, rung the bell, and this Catherine, her name was, I think she was the person in charge of something. And she said, come on in. I went round. I was like looking around. He's got a massive maze in his garden, and he's also got a lake that runs through it. And it's just a massive house, you know. And we had a look. We had coffee.
Was it in like one of those posh coffee machines?
Oh, yeah. His chef at the time was Joseph.
Chef.
His own chef, called Joseph Sponser. We're still in touch on Facebook, and he's just a great. Him and Trudy made a book with all the recipes and stuff.
Oh,
yeah, I never had anything to eat there, so I just it was just a quick visit. Basically, it was about an hour, and that was about it. But while I've been in Oxford, I have been going down, taking a drive down to his house, I think twice since I've been here.
Yeah.
Just hopefully wanted to see him.
Yeah.
But,
thinking you passed Mike Cross going down the lane.
Yeah, he's doing Italy now, so it's very. He doesn't play many UK dates now. He only plays about 3 or 4. Albert Hall, Glasgow, Manchester, you know, and that's better.
But as your time playing Sting, was your epilepsy a hurdle doing that?
No. I mean, I think when you're doing something like that, things change in your brain. You know, you're doing things, and you're doing something. You're too busy thinking about what you're going to be doing, and that it just doesn't affect it at all.
So in a way, doing that role helped your epilepsy, helped manage your epilepsy.
I mean, I do have the odd twitch every now and again.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm still on medication for it.
Yeah.
When you've got something to do, it just goes. You know?
Really, that's so interesting. Yeah. So the more you keep your brain occupied, the less symptoms are there.
Yeah. If you've got something you like doing,
especially like the bright lights during playing Sting on stage.
Yeah, that's photosensitive. I never had that sort of epilepsy. Mine at the time was Grand Mal.
Oh.
Yeah, there's many names for epilepsy.
Right,
you know,
right.
There's Petit Mal, which are the small ones. Grand Mal being the big ones. And then there's all sorts of different ones, really.
And what's your type?
My type is Petit.
Petit.
Yeah, but they're more now called stress seizures.
Right,
and basically, the doctor here said to me, "Are you thinking about things?" And I was saying, "Yeah, about my family." And he said, "That's what you're stressing about." He said, "You've got stress seizures."
Right.
So I said, "Oh, right." So he says, "Yeah." You know,
so the more you're stressed, the more likely you're going to have seizures.
Yeah.
Is that with just that type of epilepsy, or with the other types as well?
That's different types. Yeah, I mean, I don't. What's the word? I only have the one now, which is like I said, the stress seizures.
Yeah. And then, so when your work dried up as a Sting artist, and I believe then you diversified into the acting.
Yes.
At that point.
Yeah.
And you played a number of stuff, which is fun. I've been looking at there's a long list, isn't there? And haven't you been an extra on Casualty as well?
Yeah, I was an extra on Casualty. That was a bit blurry. That was like what was it called? I can't think what the episode. Muddling Through it was called, and it was episode 28. I don't know what series it was, but you see me in the background. It's about a witch. This girl having dreams about witches, and in the shopping mall, I'm wearing a Aran jumper, and it's blurred out sort of thing of what she was thinking in her mind and stuff. She thought the witches was against her, so it was a sequence of blurriness. But yeah.
Right, and a number of the stuff you in the films, I see you typecast as like a hooligan gangster kind of role.
That's that's done it. You know?
Yeah. Neil's pointing to his head. So not seeing the video version. Yeah. Now, describe the visualness of you. The way I describe you as a Grant Mitchell, Phil Mitchell. Look, but then you're a Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that really taught me never to stereotype at
Yeah.
all. And would you did you get annoyed at being typecast the hooligan gangster role, or did you enjoy that role?
It was, you got a bit fed up with it after a while. You know, because I was down as a gangster and this, that, and the other. I went down to visit a guy who was a former gangster, Dave Courtney. Now he is in London, South London, and he was in the film Gatwick Gangsters with me.
Right.
So we got on ever so well. I mean, he even.
So he's like a real life gangster.
He's a real life
gangster.
He was a real life
and you
gangster.
got on.
Yeah, yeah.
But that just goes to show how multi-dimensional you are, Neil, because you get on with a wide range of backgrounds.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's one of the skills what make you very multidimensional. You know, and you could sit in a boardroom with high chief executives, as well as, you know, someone who works in a factory, and you can equally play them roles as well. So that's, to me, what makes you multidimensional. But what was the best thing of playing a gangster?
The actors that you was working with, basically. I was in a film with Norman Vaughan, and that was the Magnificent 11, and he was a big name back in the day.
Right.
But he was a bit nasty. I mean, he didn't even want me to sit near him having a lunch. You know.
What? He told you to sit away from him? Oh.
He wanted his own table.
Wow.
And then Sean Pertwee, he was in the film as well. So I went and sat near Sean, and Sean was great. He was absolutely brilliant. He said, "Come and have your chips over here." So I went and had my chips. I had my chips over there, and I was like, in my heyday, I was like, wow.
So you go there, sitting eating chips. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, I just have this image. It would be a fantastic sort of film. Could you have a great real life biography?
Yes.
You know, a producer's out there, a writer is out there. You know, I think you'd make a great story in itself, and to play that role as well, because there's many actors out there. You know, have got this big debate in the disabled community, as many of our listeners would know, of non-disabled actors playing disabled roles. Now, your story, you could actually play yourself, be fantastic, but actually putting the gangster element in, and almost feel like a comedy element in a way as well, like the human touch. Like, you always envisage like gangsters been soft-hearted side as well. So I almost see you there knitting, you know,
steady on,
and then, you know, doing this big like gangster storyline with it, you know. I just see that it'd be such a great scene, you know.
I have actually written to Chris Crenshaw from the EastEnders, and I sent him a script of how I could come into EastEnders. The script is, it's sort of, keep it short, but the script goes from me arriving in a car, putting my head out the window and seeing one of the stall holders, and then just saying, "Where's Phil Mitchell?" You know, and then they point me into the right direction of his house.
That would be fantastic.
Knock on the door. You know, Phil's wife comes out, Kat, and then he comes out. "Who are you?" "Oh, I'm Jimmy Mitchell." "Who are you?" "Are you Phil?" "I'm your brother."
That would be fantastic. Anyone from EastEnders now, if you're listening and watching, Neil Grant has got to be in EastEnders as Phil Mitchell's brother.
Yeah, don't forget.
That would be fantastic. And EastEnders, now everyone criticises the soaps for disability, but through the years, I've actually loved the soaps, you know, and I think they are forward thinking with disability inclusion and representation. You know, Hardy Oaks, Coronation Street, EastEnders, Emmerdale, you know, they do have actors with disabilities in them, more than Hollywood. And they are forward thinking with that. But I have to say, like, where the wheelchair users are concerned, I always find it a bit hit and miss. Like, there's always one character in each soap
Yeah.
in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
What if there's more than one?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
wouldn't it be great to have like more than one wheelchair user in a soap?
Total cast.
A total cast.
Form their own little club, you know.
Yeah, maybe the team involved doing your biography can be a whole disabled cast.
Yes.
And production team and everything.
Yeah.
Everyone disabled.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
It would, yeah.
You know, but I think you've definitely got to be in EastEnders. That would be fantastic.
Love it to happen.
And
maybe you could have a word.
Yeah, you know, I don't know how much clout I've got. I'm ready to give it a go. And I'd watch it. I'm a big EastEnders fan, as many people out there are, and I think it would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And since you've got into acting, then. So you got into acting before your physical disability.
Yeah.
So you had the epilepsy, obviously, way before that, and that wasn't an issue. You said that sort of helped with your sting. But when you had your physical with your spine and issues, and you became a wheelchair user, what happened with the acting? Did that continue?
You know, I put on my list on your profile that I was now a wheelchair user, and I've not had one role come back to me. So, you know, it's a bit off-putting.
So before you put that on your CV, so to speak, did you have people contact you thinking you were not disabled and offering you roles?
Exactly.
And then did you have to then explain to them you were disabled?
Yes.
And then what happened at that point? They said you're not interested?
No, they just never got in touch with me anymore.
Right.
They used to send me a text, and they used to say something like hooligan.
Yeah.
You know, text back if you're interested in this. Just text back yes. And that happened every time I got a job. I mean, sometimes you was picked out, sometimes you wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, you're picked out of probably about 50 people.
Yeah.
There's probably 50 bald-headed men out there, and Jim Jones or whatever his name is might get it before you.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, I've got some roles. And that, I mean, they just turn around. They just don't, you know, they don't want to know anymore. You know.
No, that's really interesting.
It's upsetting.
That's like a big thing that, you know, you have to disclose it.
Yes,
then.
exactly.
So, and when you didn't, when you were sort of offered potential roles and then it came up, you weren't contacted.
No.
So then when you had to disclose it on your CV, so what happened? No offers at all?
No offers at all. I've just about half an hour ago, I got the offer of a hand.
Yeah.
You know, a hand.
Whose hand is it? You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know. Probably George Clooney's hand, you know.
No.
Does George Clooney wear a ring like mine?
Yeah. Now, wouldn't it be ironic if you were playing Phil Mitchell's hand?
Would it ever? The gun one.
Yes.
The gun one.
Yeah. So is it the have you had the same agent throughout since your sting days? Or did that change?
I've had the same agent. I've had who did I have? Universal Extras, Celebrity Extras, Derek's Doubles. There's about 4 or 5 agencies I was with.
So you signed up with all 4?
Yeah.
Since sting days?
Yeah.
All throughout until now.
Yeah.
And what do they say about?
They haven't. They've not got in touch with me or anything. I know Derek's Doubles folded. I don't know why, but they folded. But I was so shocked not to get anything back from Universal Extras, you know. But whether that was because of funds or not or anything, I don't know.
And have you contacted the agents?
I have. Yeah.
What did you say? What did
emails back.
You've not got any
Never got-
communication back.
No.
So what kind of thing was you disclosing your disability on them emails? Saying
It's basically degenerative spine disease.
Yes. Yeah.
And wheelchair user.
Yeah.
And since then, it has hurt me a little bit because I enjoyed going out, you know, getting up at stupid o'clock and going down to do some scenes. But after all that, it's just gone. And now I'm just living in four walls, you know, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
And I found that acting, it's a sort of a grey area, because I'm all for actors with disabilities actually acting the role, right?
Yes, yeah.
But then you've got these grey areas, like, well, if it's a role where it's not written in that the person's in a wheelchair, and the person's using a wheelchair as a mobility aid, then it's got to fit in with the script, hasn't it? In the writing and or the writing and the production of it all.
I mean, when I wrote to Chris Lenshaw from EastEnders, I put that I was just getting I'd be getting my wheelchair out of the back of my car. This is part of the script, and so he noticed that I would be a wheelchair user, and I'm quite surprised that he's not got in touch. This is like 3, maybe 4 months ago.
Yeah.
I've not, and people say, you know, he's a great guy. I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I'd love to just go down there and turn up and say, "Can I see Chris Lenshaw, please?"
Yeah.
You know.
And like we said, you know, soaps are progressive where it comes to disability storylines and actors. And at the minute, you know, I'm trying to think of the disabled actors in EastEnders.
You got Ben Mitchell. He's got hearing.
Yeah, but not in real life.
No.
I'm thinking.
Oh, the girl with the she might. Oh, what was her name?
The deaf. Yes.
Yes. What's her name? I don't
Yes, and she won Strictly, didn't she?
Did, yeah.
Rose Ayling. Yes.
Yeah.
I've done a biography of her on the channel. Yes, yeah.
Serious.
And she's done fantastic. And but she's not in EastEnders anymore, is she?
No.
There is Honey's daughter with Down syndrome.
Yes, she's got Down syndrome.
I'm trying to think of the other disabled actors who are disabled as well in real life. There used to be more. I mean, there used to be Donna, who the character Donna, who's Lisa Hammond, who's also, I've done a biography of her on this station as well.
No.
So she used to be the market stall holder, didn't she?
Yes, that's right.
She's left now.
Okay.
So actually, there's an opening, I think, for you, Neil, isn't there? I think definitely.
That's plenty of likes.
Yeah. Like and follow if you want that, definitely. But yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And obviously you fit the profile of being Grant and Phil's brother.
I would love to.
And honestly, I think there's so much potential, because they could bring in this humanistic approach and maybe a storyline of how you became disabled, and use a bit of your real life biography in that as well. You know, but on set, if you were to get that role on EastEnders, for example, how would you first of all get to on set? What would help you get there?
I drive. Yeah, I drive.
Yeah.
So my wheelchair, I've got a normal wheelchair.
Yeah.
So that goes in the back of the car. So I'm fine getting the wheelchair out the boot, and as long as it's not got hills, I'm fine. Because you go backwards. You don't go backwards, you want to go forwards. You know?
Yeah, because some of our audiences who don't use wheelchairs as a mobility aid, there's all different types of wheelchairs. It's a bit of a minefield, isn't it? Well, I don't know how you felt. It was a minefield for me.
It is a minefield, really, because I've been on to the Carterton Council, not Carterton Council, the Witney Council, which is about 6 miles down the road, because I fell out my wheelchair.
Yeah.
About 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the curbs are that thick.
Yeah.
You can't get your wheelchair up there.
Yeah.
And of course, this tips back.
Yeah.
And you can't get a normal wheelchair
Yeah.
up the ramp,
Yeah.
the curves.
Yeah.
And
So when Neil says normal, that what he means is, for audiences who don't know much about wheelchairs, is a self-propelled manual wheelchair. So it's like, that's the one I'm using today, for example. I've got 3, because all have different like the manual one. This manual one can fit in the car easy. And is that the same with yours?
Yeah, this one, it's quite. I'll show you. Right.
So Neil's got an electric one today. Oh, that's very posh, isn't it? It goes back.
Go to bed. Yeah,
that's very good.
Down,
look at that.
And then you can just take a snooze.
But am I right in saying that would need a hoist for the car, for a car situation?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't get this in a car.
Yeah. So that means if going to set in a car, you'll take your manual wheelchair there. Now there's all different manual wheelchairs out there as well, isn't there?
There is.
Like when I got this one, I was a bit naive back in the day. It said self-propelled, so I thought great, lightweight, but it's not really lightweight. There's different categories of lightweight, and the ultra lightweight, the aluminium, really, you can just lift.
Mine's a light one.
That's it. Oh, fantastic. So you can just pull it in the car yourself, no problem. Yeah. And sometimes, that's a bit of a minefield in establishing all that. So you'll take that to set it on you and drive there. That's fantastic. So when you get it out, and the lightweight self-propelled ones, they're easier as well, aren't they, to self-propel?
Yeah. When I was told you were getting a self-propelled one, the first thing I thought about was airplanes. Has it got wings?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. When you see the Paralympics and there's like the sports people self-propelling really fast, so when you buy like a wheelchair, you think, oh, I'm going to be doing that, but it's not that straightforward, is it? And like you said, when you go outside on curbs, and how different curbs are, you can't easily get up there with them kind of wheelchairs. So it brings in different dynamics of wheelchair usage. And so I'm just imagining you taking your chair and you're pulling it out of your boot and you're greeting the Mitchells.
Yeah.
Now, actually, that would be a good scene to show the audience of what it's like, because you could even build in a scene of the chair tippling backwards on the curb, couldn't you, and falling out, maybe. I don't know. So it does bring in that, you could bring in that realistic and awareness for the audience of what life is like. And what would help you then on set, being an actor, do you think?
No. I don't know. You've got me there. I don't really.
So someone was actually saying, because I was having a conversation with someone who'd done research in employment of actors and that kind of thing, and she does a lot of work in that kind of field now, helping industry. And she was saying that there was one, Liz Carr, who was in Silent Witness, right? And she's since left to hopefully star in Hollywood, something in Hollywood.
Really?
Yeah, because apparently, like, about 0.1% of actors in Hollywood are disabled. So hopefully she'll be raising much awareness there. But when she was in Silent Witness, there was because it was written brilliantly at the time, and they had a number of actors who used wheelchairs in that one episode, and they had trouble getting these what do you call it? These mobiles where you go in and like I forgot the word. I was gonna swear there, but I forgot we're on a podcast. These rooms where you get glammed up and you get changed.
Oh yes, yeah. Mobile cabins.
Yeah.
Porter cabins.
Porter cabins, yeah. And they had trouble getting a disabled, adaptive one,
Wow.
accessible one, because apparently there was only, at the time, I don't know if it's changed, but at the time there's only one in the whole country which you can get in on a wheelchair.
Because they're so high, aren't they? You can't get a ramp up there, because if you went up the ramp, you'd go backwards.
Yeah. So they had trouble getting, because that's more than one as well on set, one person, one actor with a wheelchair. They had trouble getting it. Oh, that's the alarm going.
Wow.
Oh, that time has gone so fast, hasn't it? Oh my gosh, I'm disappointed because we're just getting into it now. But you know, the audience demand is 40 minutes. The attention span apparently is there. But if the audience want more, another episode, then click like and follow, get in contact with us, and we'll do another episode if you're up for that.
Oh, there's more to come.
There's more to come. I think there's definitely a lot more to come. And if EastEnders, if you're watching, you've definitely got to write Neil in here. And I think definitely if there's a writing team out there with production skills, and I think a whole cast, your story, whole disabled cast, writers, production, film, camera people. You don't see many camera people with disabilities or hear about it. Maybe there are, because disability is diverse and we don't always hear about it. But yeah, get in touch with us. Be very interesting to hear back from people. Any questions for Neil, I'm sure you'll be willing to answer. Get in touch and like and follow. But thank you for listening. Like and follow if you want more.